Good evening, boys and girls. Tonight we are going to do a little bit of advanced mind you, Photoshop editing. So here I have a sample of 4 random work-based photos that we took at Mouser. And I'm just going to open the first one up. And this is your classic standard D-sub connector. So, first thing we always do, Control-Shift-A to bring up the camera raw filter, which just updated today, so never mind, ignore that. Right, so as you see, you have a silver metallic part on a grey background. First thing we do is hit the auto to balance out the highs and the lows. May not make much of a difference right now, but you'll see it improves the overall look. Then just grab the white button over here, the white slider, and increase that until the background's white. Now there I've gone too far and all the highlights are blown out, so just pull that back a little bit. And you can see that that's now pretty much ready to go as a basic. You could just call it quits there and we're done. But today we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do is adjust the temperature slightly, make it look a little bit more metallic. Now this time I just moved it towards the blue, just a hint, and that looks fine. But for the next part we're going to move to this third tab, the Detail tab. And when you're working in the Detail tab you always have to zoom in to 100%, otherwise you're just getting a random interpretation of what Photoshop thinks it might look like. But if you're at 100%, it's showing you exactly pixel for pixel how the finished image is going to look. Now on here you can see that everything looks kind of rough. There's a big patina, is the correct term, on the metal there, the rough surface. And the thing we're going to adjust first is the lumens on the noise reduction. So as I move the noise reduction luminance upwards, you'll see that it starts to smooth out some of the detail. If I remove the detail slider back down to low, so that's full noise reduction on the luminance with no detail. Now if we add the detail back in, you'll see it slowly starts to look like what you remember. Now, you don't always have to go all the way to 100% on both of these sliders, but normally you want them to be at least sort of 70 to 75% to get the colours to go correctly. So there we see we still have the pattern, the colours look nice and smooth, and it looks quite lovely. Now if we wanted to, we could also add sharpening, but you have to be very careful with the sharpening, because if you mess around with the settings too much it can make your picture look terrible. So what I normally do is set it to around about 20%, maybe 25%. If you hold down the Alt while you're moving the slider, you will see a black and white version of your picture, and at very high numbers you can see it looks super sharp but kind of very rough, particularly around this area. Don't know if you can see that. So I'll reduce that back down around about 20%. The radius, the higher you set it, the more obvious the effect. So we want that fairly low, definitely below 1, maybe 6 or 7. Sorry, 0.6 or 0.7. The detail, again, this is how strong the effect works. So 100% is a very strong effect. We want it fairly low, just to highlight some of the details. So about there. And this is the masking. So this is what is going to be sharpened. So that's everything. And as we move it to the right, this is while holding down Alt still. Now anything that is white is being sharpened, and anything that is black is not. So we want to reduce this until we just see the outlines that we're looking for. So at 100%, that's actually fairly close to what we want. And move that back just a hint. There we go. So it's highlighting some of the details, but not all of them. And if we fill our screen, fit to view, okay. So now we have a cleaned up, tidied, sharpened, and we did everything, didn't we? Yeah. We hit the auto, boosted the white, reduced the temperature and the blue just a little bit, or technically increased the blue just a little bit. Then we did our noise reduction, and we did our sharpening. Hit OK. Okay, so for cropping, we want to use the square marquee tool, and we want this to say fixed ratio up here. And the two ratios we want are either 2 by 2, which is a square. You can just do that. Yeah, about there. Looks about right. Or if you do 3 by 2, that's standard photograph shape that everyone's familiar with, and you can do something like that. Hit image, crop, and that's our photo done. Now one of the things I found very helpful, let's just save that to be sure, is you may notice the background around my images are white instead of black. Right click here, select custom there, and then select custom color, make that white. It's all the way in the top corner up there. Okay, so now the background of your image should match the background of your Photoshop. You can detect the slight differences in the shades of grey and shadow much easier if you have a white background for it to contrast against. Or in this case, no contrast, because it matches, because we checked. Now if you still have some, what would you call it, fuzz or some marks around the outside which didn't get cleaned up by this process, select your eraser and a fairly big brush and just go around the outside. Leave a little bit of shadow because otherwise it kind of looks a bit fake. And there we go. Hit save. Done. Okay, due to technical errors, I'm going to have to start this again. You may not know that by the time I've edited the clips together, but anyway, try this. Open it in Photoshop. So Photoshop patched today. I'm explaining this even though I was probably going to cut it out. Photoshop patched today, and now I'm getting all sorts of errors every time I try to do stuff. So open the file, Control-Shift-A, bring up the camera raw. Now this time I'm going to explain from the beginning that this little Y button down here gives you a before and after view. It's amazing, I know. So zoom into 100% straight away this time. And we're going to hit the auto button. And we're going to up the white balance, not the white, the white's colors, till the background looks white. Maybe a little bit more. And then we're going to add some blue because that's the color of the lights in the warehouse, or rather the lights in the warehouse are too yellow, so we're adding blue to counteract that. But then the gold always looks way too gold, so we're going to drop down the vibrance a touch and the saturation a little bit, and now it looks more gold. So there we go. So that's before and after just by using the first tab in the camera raw. Now we're going to go to the detail. Remember, for detail you always have to go to 100% to see the effects that's actually happening. So I'm going to up the luminance, and we're going to do around about there. Yeah. So now you can see all the colours have blended together. It looks a lot smoother, but it looks too smooth. So we're going to add more detail till it looks more realistic. There we go. Alright, looks alright. This one doesn't really need any sharpening, but I'm going to add it anyway. We want the amount to stay fairly low. I don't think you'll be able to see the differences too well on the video. This is just something you'll have to try for yourself. If you add too much sharpening, you get horrible, like, grid lines almost over the entire picture that look terrible. We want the radius to be fairly low because we don't want the sharpening to be too obvious. Keep that one around about 15 to 20. So we want about 20 to 25 for the amount, 0.6, 0.7 for the radius, 15 to 20 for the detail, and then for the masking, this is just personal choice, but you basically want to move it to the right until only the very edges of things are selected. So for example, if we put it right there in the middle, every tiny detail is being sharpened and we don't want that. So we want smoother lines on the smoother surfaces. So something like that, around about there. So there we have the before and after. And I think you can tell there is a clear difference between those two. Okay. So for the marquee, square marquee I have selected, and we're going to do a square this time. Right about there. Image crop. Now as you can see here, that background actually looks blue rather than white. My background was selected white by right-clicking here, go to custom color, and that didn't work. Oh, select custom color. There we go. So we set that to white, custom white, and then you can see, hopefully on the video, that the background on this picture is still blue next to the white. So we press Ctrl M to bring up the curves tool like we used to do in the olden days. Select the white balance here and pick something that's right there. So now it's all white. Do that again, select the white balance. If you hold down Alt, you can actually see it's not all perfect white, so we can pick one of these darker areas down there. That's better. So now everything that's white in that background is pure white. There we go. And we'll save that. Hopefully. Alright, that's where it crashed and died last time, so we're doing well. I will try and do a third one so we can string this together. Go here. Okay. Alright, so this one I'm going to speed through. Control Shift A, and we'll even do that one so we have both types, before and after. Hit the auto, up the whites, till the background looks pure white. You can't change that. Yeah, white. There we go. So yeah, that's pretty close to white. Maybe that just a little bit. Drop that down there. This up here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Go to this one. Got to zoom in to 100. Wow, that's super close. Try and find an area with some different detail. Oh, good. I went to 200 instead of 100. Alright. Find an area with a mix of detail in, so you can see how your changes affect things. So we're going to up the luminance. I like to have both of these at least 75, maybe 80. Because most of our products are either shiny or rubbery or plastic, it doesn't look too bad if you smooth them out, but we still want to see some of the detail. We'll add sharpening again for no reason, just to show you how it works. Yeah, you really can't tell on the screen, but that's alright. You just have to trust me. Okay, so the masking, you only want the sharpest edges. Alright, so fit to view. Alright, so before and after, it's like day and night. two completely different things. Hit OK. Alright, so we have our thing. Now there's one last thing to try on this. We're going to straighten it. If we use the ruler tool and draw a line along something that should be a perfectly vertical edge, like that. Do the straighten layer. There we go. That doesn't really look any better, so we'll undo that. And do it along this edge instead. Yeah, I guess that's better. Okay. Control V to deselect. And then we want to save. But because we changed the rotation, we'll have to do save as JPEG. Yes, we want to replace it. Okay. And if we close that, open it back up. Alright. We don't really need to crop this one too much. It's already pretty much in the middle of the frame. Oh, so here's an example where a square isn't going to look perfect. Well, I might still be able to do a square. So doing a square is going to crop it pretty close. So we'll change it to the 3x2 up here at the top. Put that in the middle. Image crop done. I messed that up because I cut some off the bottom there. Let's try that again. Yeah, about there. Alright, that's fine. And we're going to save that. And that really wasn't as quick as I was expecting it to be. So we'll do this last one really super quick. Open with Photoshop. Hope it doesn't crash. Bring up the camera raw. I'm going to do the side by side. It's now my favorite thing in the world. Do that. Auto. That's actually fairly close already. The red is super bright, so we'll bring the red down. Well, bring all the colours down a little bit. Just that, just a touch, maybe too much. Then do this. Okay, so here's a good example of where those letters are probably going to disappear when I up the noise reduction. Yeah, so it's just blurred those numbers out of existence. So if we add the detail back in, that's still fairly blurry. Furry blurry. So we'll reduce that one some, increase the detail more. Yeah, that's alright. Okay, so this is something where the sharpening might actually help. I'm going to hold down the Alt, and as we increase the sharpening, yeah, you can tell more on that one. It's making like a fuzzy pattern, but it is bringing out the letters and numbers better. Do it a bit more. So again, a low number is not doing much of anything, but a high number, that's way too high though. We'll bring that down to about 9. And the detail, that's not making much of an effect. Keep that low. Masking right around there. Okay. Fit to view. That looks, actually it still looks a little bit blue. Pull that back a bit. Okay. This is an ideal candidate for a square. And we're going to save that, and we're done. Actually, we can check that to see if it actually did come out white. Yeah, mostly white. Okay. Save again. Alright, so that's all for now. I don't know how long the video will be when I've edited it, but that was probably 10-12 minutes for 4 pictures. It's easy when you know how. As always, ask me any questions. I am always willing to help, even when I'm being sarcastic about it. Sorry. But yeah, it's dead easy. We're not doing rocket science or anything like that. Some very simple edits. And please come and ask me for help and advice at any time. Thank you very much. I have been your host, Christopher T. Hoffey, Esquire. Thank you very much, and I'll probably see you tomorrow, whenever that is. Bye bye for now.